into a file. And should we give it a run to see what we have? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we can see that we were marching toward 10,000 there. If we scroll up, what can we find? Now we have this configured for a queue. So what we would expect is that our items are getting processed in order. Now, let's look and see. A got 1, B got 2. We look down here, C got 3, and D got 4, E got 5. Now that was our initial processing. Remember, we made those 5 web servers and added 1 to them. Then it appears that B finished, its processing time was just 1, so it was available again, and it got a new process, process 6. And it had a little, it was a longer thing maybe. So B processed, in the meantime, A finished, then along came E, etc. But what we can notice here, and you can play around with this, kind of looking at how things were processed, is once we get started and we start processing, notice how the numbers are increasing essentially. Now we're adding more and more things to the queue as we go. We're not getting quite as many off. But as we go through this, we can see that our numbers are, just gradually going up, increasing PIDs. And remember, this is a queue. So if we look, B was, after B did 82, it got 87. And then after that, 89. So, and then 93. What we don't see is that B is getting smaller process IDs. That's because this is a queue, and once first in, first out. So once we have processed those, even though the numbers don't appear to be increasing per server, they actually are. So that might be one of your answers there on the test, or on the analysis. Let's go ahead and modify this to do the stack. So to do that, we need to look at 2 files, the load balancer and the load balancer CPP. So we're going to change out the queue here, and instead of that, we're going to do the stack. And that's fine for that, but we also need to edit the next file. There is a place here where this is for the queue, and we've already done that. So now we need to do this one, and we can use this top method for all of the rest of the ones we're going to test. So again, we want to make, and this says it has, the queue has no member. So that's because I forgot to remake the load balancer. All right, so it's happy now. And when we run P3 again, we get new numbers. Now let's go see if we can tell if a stack is running. Okay. So again, we have lots of processes here, and let's see how we got started. Notice that A got 10. Why would that be? Because a stack is a last in, first out, or a LIFO structure. So we populated our load balancer with 10 processes, and then when we popped one off, instead of getting the first as we did in the queue, we got number 10. And so that one started processing right away. B, if we find it here, got 9, C got 8, D got 7, and E got 6. Those were the first 5. And then after that, we can see that more things are getting put on as we're pulling things off. Notice that our numbers are high here. That's because we're processing a few things, but we're putting more things on. But what we're not seeing are those early processes that went on the stack. They're still buried down in the stack somewhere, and we keep popping off the top. Okay, now you can analyze how much time these are running and everything else. Okay, let's do one of the priority queues as well. So let's edit those. And this time we don't need to change anything. We'll do the max priority queue. This is all we need to do here. And then we want to recompile. So works better, it seems, if I do it in 2 steps, and then we can make or just make p3. All right. So when we run it this time, we get a segmentation fault. All right. So we make the load balancer.o. It says it's up to date. It wasn't, we just edited it. But one thing that we find is that we need to remake everything. So let's clean this up, tidy everything up, and then let's make it again. Okay, and now we're running, this time we ran with a priority queue. So let's go look at those beginning ones and see what we did. So A got 8. I'm going to let you think about why that is. B started with 4, C with 1, D with 2, and E with 5. So the one that we were using, we claimed was a max queue. How did it start with those numbers? What happened to 7? What happened to our other values? I'm going to leave you to think about that. All right, so we're getting some interesting numbers here, but let's think about it. We did not make our priority queue based on the process ID. What we did was make it based on the longest time. See these numbers? Let's go back a little bit. See the numbers that we had here for processing time. Some of these were very short, like here's one with 3, here's one with 70, 29. We had some short ones here. But if we go to what we're processing right now, notice these are all high numbers. And these are long processing times. Okay, so what you would expect then is we did a max process. Run it again, change up the load balancer again for the min queue, and you should see short times here. And when you do it again, and it's based on the process ID, you should see low numbers getting processed, or is it high numbers? Well, you run it and see, okay? And then using this kind of information, what I'd like you to do then is summarize on that assignment paper that I gave you the analysis. And that's it for this lab.